Come on in, guys.
This is like our third time.
Oh yeah, yeah. Give me a holler.
But,
Don't call Lifetime. Call the cell.
okay.
All right.
All right. Sounds good.
All right,
Thanks,
good.
bud.
No problem. How we doing? Who has played pickleball ever at all? Yes. You're my helper.
I'm not that good.
Do you know which end of the paddle to hit with? Do you know which end of the paddle to hit with? There you go. Do you know what the starting score is? Okay, well then we're all on the same page. We're just gonna start up here. Guys, come on over here. 4, 8, probably waiting on just one or two more. I appreciate everybody not being upset about last Monday. It was miserable. No one would have had any fun at all. We are waiting on one or two, but I'll give you the brief pickleball intro that I always do. My name's Bill Taylor. I do have the terrible job of being a professional pickleball player now. After raising my own 10 kids, and now I have another group of grandkids that are at the house. But I have been playing pickleball before you guys knew probably it existed. I started playing competitively in like 2014, and I have watched it go from, since then, it's been the fastest growing sport, but most people didn't know about it. The last 2 or 3 years, craziness, just unbelievable growth. I'm involved with a group. We are opening up an indoor facility in Worthington with 17 indoor courts, one in Cleveland and one in Dayton. The indoor one will be open in about 2 weeks, and then Avon Lake will open in about 3 months, and then Dayton at the end of the year. It's from what they tell us, we could build 20,000 courts, and that still wouldn't be enough for the people that are already playing, not counting you guys. That's how much demand there is for the sport. I do tend to give, so you know where the sport came from, I tend to give the history of the sport real quick, because there's some things out there that are true and some that aren't. Has anybody heard any of the story about where pickleball came from? Nope. Seattle, Washington, vacation town called Bainbridge. There were a group of, how many of you had kids? How many of you needed to get your kids out of the way at one point? Okay. So mid-60s, there's a family by the name of Pritchard, actually from Marietta, Ohio, and then a U.S. Senator, Barney McCallum was his name. They had a vacation home on an island off of Seattle, Washington. I've never been there, but apparently it's rainy, and if it's rainy, it sucks. Kids wanted to play, parents wanted to drink, and outside in the backyard was a badminton court, which is why I always start the lesson. This technically is the same size as a badminton court. They had, the badminton net was like all of those ones we stick in our backyard, right? That are like 4 feet in the air. They couldn't find the paddle, they couldn't find the birdies, and they couldn't find the rackets. They found 4 ping pong paddles and a wiffle ball. And they said, go play. Apparently 3 hours later, kids are still playing. They go outside and they found the net was on the ground and they were hitting that wiffle ball back and forth. Parents jumped in, and as the kids are all still alive and actually still involved in pickleball, as they tell it, they didn't get to play again the rest of the summer. I'm gonna wait for these guys. They've already done all their push-ups and their lap, so we'll let you guys skip it today. Are you guys here for?
No.
We are taking all 4 courts for lessons.
Oh yeah? Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
For the next 5 weeks, Mondays and Fridays.
Okay.
This time.
Yep.
So parents go out there, start playing around, basically making up their own rules. All right. I kind of roll this into the basic rules. Tonight is the only night that I'll talk a lot in relative terms. I will talk the rest of the time too, but we'll play a lot more than we probably do tonight. I want you, by the end of this being done, come on in. You're with us?
I am.
Come on in. I'd like you to be able to play an entire game, know how to score, and know the basic rules, and know the things that people think are the rules that are wrong. If we're done by that point, literally you'll be able to go anywhere in the country, walk into open play, and play pickleball. The sport is very opening like that. Most people will let you in, and unlike some other sports, the percentage of people that are just complete and total buttholes is minuscule. So you'll be able to walk in. How you guys doing?
Court's not open?
The courts are not open until 7.
Oh, 7.
Yep. This is why we're building more courts. There's just literally a huge need for them. Where was I? Oh, so open play, all these little things on the wall, they will hold paddles. Most places, and if you're here, it's because someone you know plays pickleball, I'm sure, or has told you about it, right? Generally, if you know how to play, the rules and everything, you can go anywhere, and unlike I didn't know it was that windy. Unlike a lot of sports, you can leave them down. We're going to grab them all off there in just a minute anyway. Generally, if guys are out here playing basketball, or especially when they were tennis courts, first come, first serve, right? Tennis courts gets opened, people play, and they can play till they're tired and they're done. Pickleball, for some reason, has picked up its own rules that if the courts are full and you show up, people will play a game and then let you play. It will constantly rotate like that. Most places will have rules up like they do here. Most outdoor courts, same thing. If the courts are full, you're expected to play and let the next group of people continually come in. That's what these little paddle racks are up there for. You come, put your paddles up, first game that's done, next 2 people go in. Some places will let the winners stay on if it's not super crowded. If it gets real crowded, it's 4 on and 4 off, and people continually rotate. And it's not just here, it's everywhere in the country. It's how it works. That's one of the reasons why it's grown. When you're not playing, you're generally sitting and talking about, not just pickleball, so you end up meeting a lot of good people. And you can go to the point to where you can go to really fun tournaments. Lots of charity tournaments around this area and all around the country. You can get to the point where you can play professionally. That portion of it has grown tremendously. I have a group of future pros that are 12 and 13 that literally, if you watched them play here, we would pack up and go back to the car, because it is amazing the skill level that the kids are bringing to the sport right now. So that's the basics. The other thing I'd say is there is a misnomer of where the name came from. A lot of people will tell you that there was a dog named Pickles that would go get the ball, and they would say, "Pickle, ball," he'd come back. That is not true. There was a dog named Pickles, but he came after the sport was named. The McCallans owned the dog, and he did chase the ball for them. But Mrs. Pritchard, who was from Marietta, was really big into crew, the rowboat crew. I didn't realize this until I found out from pickleball. At big tournaments, varsity teams would bring enough people and then maybe 2 or 3 subs, just in case someone got hurt. When they got out there on the river, the group of subs would always get a boat. So you came from Marietta, you came from Otterbein, you came from Ohio State, they'd put all 8 of you together and you'd get a boat, and they called that the pickle boat. She felt, because that's what they called that, and this became a sport from tennis, badminton, ping pong, volleyball, all those rules thrown together, that it should be called pickleball. It has stuck, and here we are today with pickleball. Does any of that make sense? That's the quick history lesson. The court itself, 22 feet net to front. 10 feet center line to center line. So it's 20 feet by 44 feet. this line that he's standing in there, has anyone has ever heard anything about this portion of the pickleball court? All right, you're going to get big prizes if you call it by the right name. It is not the kitchen.
Oh.
If you've ever heard that about pickleball, that people call this the kitchen. If I told you it was a kitchen, would it give you any idea of what is allowed and not allowed in this? The answer is no, right? All right. They call it the kitchen. I don't know why. It is actually called the non-volley zone. All right. It came about because one of the pitcher's neighbors was a 6'7" ex-NBA player who would stand right here and smack the ball at him. So they ended up putting a 7-foot line between the net and here. And the rule is you cannot hit the ball out of the air, hence volleying it, if you are touching or are in this section. Everything else or anything else you've ever heard about this is wrong. The only thing this does is you cannot stand here and hit the ball out of the air. If it bounces, you can do whatever you want with it. If you can stand in here if you want to and hit the ball if it bounces. You just cannot be inside of this section and hit it out of the air. That's why, go right ahead.
When you're serving, doesn't it have to go past that line?
It does have to go past that line on a serve. They call it the kitchen and they talk about you have to stay out of the kitchen, and so many people get afraid of, they'll stand right here and then try to do this when the ball is bouncing and never reach it because there's a mentality that you can't go into the kitchen. Well, you can, you just can't hit it out of the air. I will definitely teach you how to use this to your advantage. All right. If you hit the ball, and there are lots of different people that play this sport, and I will ask now, any paddle racket sports you have played before? Any tennis, any badminton, any ping pong?
Tennis long time ago.
All right. People tend to come from those different backgrounds. Badminton, tennis, ping pong, racquetball, all those equate to this sport. And you'll find the tennis players are really big about serving, and they'll come up here, the ball will be hanging, they'll step right in here and smack it. That's why they took it out. Does that make sense? It will be very confusing as we start doing it, because I guarantee you everybody standing here will end up stepping in there and smacking one out of the air and think you hit a really great winner, and then somebody's going to say, oh wait, you were standing in the kitchen. All right. If you call it the non-volley zone, it helps. As this has become much more organized, that kitchen term is getting pushed out a little bit. If you watch any of the pro tournaments on TV, they still call it that. You'll see a little bit of a switch over on that, especially at the teaching level, is the kitchen doesn't give you any idea of what it is or what it isn't. It's just a nickname. So don't worry about it. You can still call it the kitchen. I won't holler at you if you do. If you call it the non-volley zone, you'll know what you're doing up there. The other two things that are really important before we start hitting any balls is the white line is part of the court. So if it touches that line in any way, shape, or form, that ball is in and counts. If you don't mind throwing me one of the balls. The nice thing about pickleball is the first rule in the rule book is that anything that is a question goes to the opponent. All right? So if you're not sure whether it was in or out, opponent gets it. The ball itself is hard. If you want to just pass a couple of those around to everybody. Everybody actually do me a favor, grab a paddle off the wall right there. How are you ladies?
Hi. I just want to say hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
We were just in a meeting at the Parks Department.
Oh.
So, yeah.
You picked me a nice night to get started.
I know. Thank God. Hopefully the weather stays good Mondays and Fridays.
Yes. Did I see your husband this morning?
You did?
I think so.
Oh, nice.
I think so. He was over, we were talking about them adding one more court. I keep wanting them to put one more court in here. There's room for a third one.
Yeah.
And they have so many people waiting.
Yeah, they do. Well, I'll be in contact with you about the wait list. But
Okay.
just
We,
wanted to say hi.
as long as we don't get past about 20,
Yeah.
I'll have somebody else come and we definitely can do 20.
Okay.
If we get past that, there's a lot of waiting, and that's not fun.
Okay. I'm Annette, by the way. I'm the one that emails you guys.
Have a good class.
All right.
Lessons, whatever it is.
Sorry.
So the ball, if no one's tossed you one yet, it's actually pretty hard. All right? It's a solid ball. It is not a tennis ball, so it does not bounce like a tennis ball. If you don't have tennis background, you're going to be better off than if you do. You know, the basic skills of tennis is a huge translation, but there'll be some things that you want to do from tennis side that you end up can't really do in pickleball. One of the things that happens with the tennis ball is the tennis ball will compress, and if a ball lands right there, a tennis ball, that would be in, because it would compress down and touch the line. You guys, if you look at that ball right now, it looks like it's in, doesn't it? If you come around to this side, you'll see that it's actually probably a half an inch off the line. That's why the onus generally goes to the opponent. Because on a ball that's close, it's supposed to be a fun game. So if it's close, it's in. If it's on, you know, if they see it, they're supposed to give it to you as well. So not a lot of angry in and out calls. You'll find one of those guys out of 100, but most of the time, it's pretty easy to deal with. All right, so everybody grab a ball and a paddle. Anyone will work. You have a ball? Ball. All right. All I really want you to do for a second is kind of spread out here on the court for a little bit before we actually get out there and start whacking it around. Is I simply want you to take the paddle and bounce the ball. It gives you an idea that while it's not a tennis ball, less motion is the better, because you start putting wrist in it and all of a sudden it's jumping off the paddle. The paddles are solid. The ball's pretty solid. So if you swing hard, it's going out of the fence. So control becomes a huge factor in the game. You'll also notice if you're hitting it and you get pretty comfortable hitting it around, middle of the paddle does a real good job of keeping it pretty steady. If you move it out to the edges, you'll hear a different sound, and it bounces different. Different paddles will have a larger sweet spot than others, but hitting the ball in the middle of the paddle, huge benefit. All right? You will find some people that have, especially my ping pong players, are really big on wanting to spin this ball. All right? As you get to the higher levels, spin does become a small portion of the game, but nowhere near what the guy that's been playing for 6 or 8 months thinks it is, and the guy that wants to serve to you and hit a big bunch of spin to watch you miss the ball. Once you get good, and once they move up, that part of the game pretty much stops. Indoor pickleball is different than outdoor. Same rules, same size court, generally different material on the ground. The facility that I'm building does have indoor courts it has outdoor courts like this surface indoors, because this is the outdoor version of the ball. It's a more consistent play. A lot of indoor facilities that have multi-purpose floors, they're more of a cushioned floor. They use a ball with only 26 holes in it. It's much squishier, and literally I can hit it, have it spin, and it'll come backwards because the floor will grab it. It's better on our knees. It's also a multi-purpose one over in Hilliard. That's what they have indoor. Most purpose-built pickleball facilities have these type of courts. Safety is huge. If you reach down and touch this court, you'll find out that it's sandpaper. So falling on it isn't fun. You'll leave a patch. So let's try not to do that part. Before we get started, I generally will tell you when you come out, and I'm not going to force you to do it tonight because we're not going to be playing a whole lot of games tonight. We're going to hit the ball a lot, but is warming up is huge. I mean, most of us are over 21, right? We really don't want to, we probably have to go to work at some point tomorrow. Going to work with a pulled hamstring is not going to be fun. So a little dynamic stretching in both your arms, your core, and your legs will make a huge difference in the game. You'll find some people come out and say the first game's a warm-up game. Well, if you have any competitive spirit and the ball's a little out of your reach, you're going to reach for that one. All right? I've been guilty of it myself, and at our age, it takes longer to heal than when they're 20 and they can fall and roll and everything else. So it's no fun. So a little warm-up does in fact help. At this point, I generally ask, does anybody have anything health-wise that I should know about before I start having you run around the court? Do you have 2 brand new knees like me? I'm living proof that you can have a double knee replacement and play professional pickleball. All right? Courts are smaller. You can still move around on them. Good shoes. And I was back on the court 5 weeks after a replacement. So I'm a year into a double knee replacement and playing with the 20-year-olds again. So it's an easy sport to get out here, and the tennis court is more than twice the size of this. All right, what I'd like to do is split up in groups of 4. So 4, 4, 4, perfect. All I want you to do for right now is go, what's your first name?
Bonnie.
Bonnie, jump over on that side for me. We're going to start simply by playing and hitting the ball back and forth into the non-volley zone. All right, come all the way up here. Right, get really comfortable. You're going to find me talking about this line is the most important line in pickleball. All right, where he's standing is no man's land, and he's going to lose every point if he stands back there. All right, this is the spot you want to be in. This is a spot that when we start hitting serves and everything, you're going to try to get to. Whoever gets to this spot first, 80% of the time is going to win the point. All right? You'll find that as we start playing, you'll see the person that's standing here has a lot more control. All right, so what I want you guys to do is we're going to, 2 at a time. Bonnie, come over here. Come right there. We're just going to, nice and easy, just like that. Wait, most of the time waiting for it to bounce, grabbing their ball. Just waiting for it to bounce will make a little bit of a difference. The first thing I'll tell you guys is this is a lower body sport as much as it is an arm sport. So this movement does a lot of control of the ball, and we just want to hit it over. Don't step back. Get right up at the line, right like this.
Okay.
We'll be all right.
Put you on the spot.
So the idea is literally to bounce it into the non-volley zone. We really don't want it up here in the air, because up here in the air, it's going to get smacked. So just 2 people on each side, just try to bounce it back and forth to each other to get comfortable hitting the ball back and forth. You guys got a ball?
2 of them.
All right, put one in your pocket. You may need it. It keeps you from chasing them. You guys come over here. You're absolutely trying to get it bouncing there. You're going to find really quick that a lot of wrist action will shoot this ball a long way. And that's what we're trying to start with, is just get an idea of feel of how hard that you're hitting it and where it's going to go to.
I probably should have played that at the end.
Yeah, maybe. There you go. Go ahead. Do me a favor. Fall in love with this line.
Okay.
And what we tend to do is when we hit, we tend to step back, and then we tend to stay there. Then we tend to step back, and then we stay there. And all of a sudden, we're 10 feet behind the line, and they're just dropping it in here. So try to get really comfortable with being up here and just staying here. If you've got to go back, pivot back up here instead of going back. All right. Here we go. Here's another ball. Got one? Yeah. 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 Just back and forth.
We won't try to confuse them. Right?
There we go.
I whipped that out. Yeah.
You'll start to see real quick as the ball is high in the air, the other person's going to have a chance to really smack it easy. There you go. That's what you want to do. Nice, nice, nice. Perfect, perfect. It's exactly what you do. She puts it up there like that. That's exactly the shot to hit. So you guys are a little farther ahead right now than some of them. So one thing, the first thing I will tell you is what happens on a shot like that. All right, and the reason why this portion of the court is where I start is it becomes the most important because you're going to be playing against people that are a different level, and that tennis player is going to be ready to smack that ball at you. If you hit it in the air right here, she's going to smack it. So one of the things that's important, that ball comes back here. If that ball hits me here and I do that, she has to wait until it bounces. She can't step in there and smack that ball.
Yeah.
So if I'm having to wait, she can't attack it because the ball doesn't bounce any higher than the net. So if I bounce it in front of her, most of the time, she's not going to be able to hit that hard shot. She's going to have to then put it back into here.
Like that, underhanded?
Well, you really don't want to underhand it or overhand it because underhanded, you're going to pop it up to her and she's going to smack it. Overhand, you're going to hit it down into the net. So that side and the lower body is huge. This movement is all you need to get that ball over there with a little finish in your arm. Wrist pops the ball up and shoots it off in weird directions. Just a nice, easy up and down makes a difference. All right. There we go.
We're improving.
Yeah. And again, if you haven't done it, it takes a couple times. Believe me, I've been doing it for 10 years, and
Sorry.
We're in the zone now. Oh, took you out of it. I'm sorry. Friendly fire. Thought I had to.
it's a 1 ounce ball. Generally doesn't hurt. Generally is the key term. Huge difference already, just 10 minutes, right? At first, the first couple you weren't hit. Now you've got a controlled swing. There's a big difference between that.
You say so.
All right.
No, she hit it. Oh, yeah.
Nice, nice.
Can you hit it more than once?
That's actually a nice shot if we hit the whole court. Oh, thank you, sir.
Got it. All right, let's come back over here. You guys did very well. All right, everybody, pop over into the red section over there. What is your name?
Addie.
Addie? If you go over there for me for a second, I'd appreciate it. What is your name?
Brian.
Brian, you stay there.
Don.
Don's going to stay here. All right, I'm going to walk you through the start of a game, and I'm going to come over close because I'm going to thoroughly confuse you. All right? If we get through this part of the lesson and you come back, you will be addicted to pickleball forever. Okay? Because this is the hardest part. It has nothing to do with hitting the ball, hitting it in, or anything like that. It has to do with scoring. All right? Pickleball is scored. The other thing is I will tell you 80% of what I tell you is how it happens every time. There's very few times that you're going to find changes from what I say. All right? 80% of the time, you're going to play games to 11 by 2. All right? And then again, 80% of the time. If a place gets really busy, this is again a fun part of pickleball. If all of a sudden there's 30 people standing out here, there's paddles racked all over the place, people sitting there waiting, everybody will generally say, we're going to play to 9. All right? If that doesn't get you only sitting down for 10 or 15 minutes, maybe one game or so, they'll say, let's play to 9 by 1. So the changes that happen are just to make sure everybody's getting into the game as quickly as possible. So it's trying to be fair to everybody on the court. Another reason why the sport's growing so much. 80% of the time, probably closer to 90, you're going to play to 11, win by 2. You only score when you're serving. Okay? So if me and Don are serving to Brian and Addie, they cannot score. They can only win their serve. It's kind of like the old volleyball. I know most volleyball now is rally scoring. Again, that is a 90% program. There are times that you will play, again for speed, that they will go to rally scoring. Rally scoring is every mistake's a point. All right, so if I go back here to serve, and I serve it into the net, normally, doesn't hurt me, right? I didn't lose a point by it.